So this is a pretty neat and interesting challenge for us to work with, and we do provide you with some startup code. And feel free to pause the video at any point and try to accomplish this task. So I'm going to first explain the problem, and then we're going to talk about ways to maybe process this and come up with a solution, right? So anyways, use the function provided, write logic that will shuffle an array and return a new one. Use a for loop, actually, to iterate over the array to kind of give you the new shuffle. And like, I know we're just doing this with just a simple array. You can see on line 16, we have this simple array of 1 through 9, but think of this almost, expanding this to maybe you wanted to shuffle some questions, or maybe you wanted to shuffle a deck of cards, right? So this is just preparing you with the little baby steps, and then think about the large picture. So let's talk about what we see here as code so far. On line 7, that's where we have this function here, and this is just your generic generate a random number function. I didn't want us to focus so heavily on the randomization. It just takes a minimum and a maximum, and we'll be able to use that inside of our function here. Now this function here is called shuffle array. Notice that we are console logging shuffle array, and we are passing it the array that we created down here on line 16. Okay, so that is what we're doing here, and if I were to just run this right now, I just get the same array back. You can see that it's in the normal numeric sequence that it started off with. So go ahead and try to pause the video now and see if you're able to maybe solve this. And if not, we're going to go through a little bit of a walkthrough of my logical thinking and going through this, and maybe seeing some of these tools out there to help you with your logic flow might be beneficial, because we want to do little bite-sized things, and it's a really neat little project here. So let's go ahead and move on to it. All right, so I have this Miro-like board here, and you can see the yellow Post-it notes that we have here. These are going to represent the numbers that are in the array, and then here we have the array indexes. Okay, I have this little spot up here for temporary memory to kind of store some values for us, and you'll see why. So I always want to approach some of these problems as, how would I do this as a human, right? And if I wanted to shuffle this thing 9 times, because I have 9 numbers, then I'm going to loop through each one of these, and I'm going to rotate a few, right? Or shuffle some cards, right? So the way that I wanted to go about this is we're going through the loop, and we're starting off with the 0, right? We're starting off with 0. So what I would want to do is I want to place whatever is currently in 0, and I want to go ahead and push this to the back here. And I want to put this in temporary memory. I want to store it, because I'm going to then generate a random number, and say that random number is 7. I want to be able to pull the 7th index over here, and I want to put it in the 0 position, because I'm already on loop 0, right? And then I know what the random number was, and it was 7, and I just want to put whatever I had in temporary memory, and I want to swap it over here. Then next in the loop is this 1 position, and so it's going to put this in temporary memory, and it's going to choose a random number. Now again, it could go back in its same spot, that's fine, or it could go into the 0 position, and that's fine as well. So say that it did go to the 0. Well, then they just simply swap, okay? And that's going to be the pattern that we're going to follow, okay? Whatever loop number we're on, that's going to go into temporary memory, and we're going to get a random index, okay? And that is going to go in its spot. And then it's just like they're swapping positions here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in our code. So let's go jump back in over there. All right, so this is where our code is going to be, and hopefully that little walkthrough of the logic kind of helps. Okay, so we need to have the for loop first. So we're just going to do our normal standard for loop. We'll do a for let I equals 0. And then we'll follow that up with as long as I is less than, and it's going to be the array that comes in and the length of it. Okay. All right. So once we have that, then we can do the iteration, and that's going to be the I++. And then we're going to open up the curly brackets. Okay. So while we're in this loop, okay, we need to first, like I said, take whatever index we're on and store that in some sort of temporary memory, right? And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's go ahead and do a let temp number equal, and then whatever array index we are currently on, whatever array index that we're currently on, we want to grab that number and store it in this thing that we just created called temp number. The next thing that we need to do is we need to generate a random number. We need to pick which index are we going to be referencing, okay? And so the way that we need to do that is we need to do something like this. We need to say let random index equal that generate random number that we created, that function up there that we gave you. Again, it takes a minimum, it takes a maximum. And then we have to use the 0 index because that's what we want to start off with. And then we have to do the array length -1, and that will give us 0 all the way to 8. Remember, although we have 9 numbers down here, just like we showed you on the sticky notes, that everything in JavaScript is 0 based for the index. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, now it's time to do the flip-flop, right? So we already put it in temporary number, okay? We already put that number that we're going to get in temporary number. And now it's time to replace the index, right? So we're going to do array, square bracket, I, and then we're going to set that equal to the array of the random index. Okay, so again, this is the part right now where we took, the index. So let me go back to it real quick to kind of explain here. So if we are on the third loop, right, we have put this into temporary memory. We went to the random generator, got a random index. It told us it was index number 5. And now we are assigning what was in 5, we're assigning it to the index of 3, okay? So that's all we did right now. So that's what we did. Now the next part is we need to assign what we put in temporary memory and assign it to the index that we took from, okay? So let's go back to the code for it. And so we're going to do array, square bracket, random index, and we want to set that equal to the temporary number that we stored in memory. So this is where that swap happened, okay? So line 16 and 17 are responsible for the swap. So now that we can save this, and now I'm going to go ahead and run this here, we should see that they are now randomized in a different order. So we just created our own little shuffle. Cool. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Feel free to like and subscribe to our channel as we're going to have more of these types of challenges. All right. Thanks for watching.